Hello, I am back to recap episode 1 of Australian Survivor Rebels vs. Titans. So we start this episode with us being introduced to all 24 players. Just kidding, we don't get individual confessionals from everyone. But we get introduced to the two tribes, Rebels vs. Titans. Okay, for starters, yeah, like some of my mates have said in the past, I think this is giving off champion versus contenders free instead of Rebels vs. Titans, but that's not the point. Anyways, so we start the episode, and I'm gonna be completely honest. The challenge is most boring part of the episode for me as a fan. Yeah, super simp Survivor fan. It's the number one Survivor fan. I've got to say, challenges bore me like straight up. When I was watching this, like literally, I almost fell asleep during the challenges. Like, it was that boring. And however, I did think the challenges were cool. I just thought that for me, it's interesting part of this episode. For me, I want to get more content when it comes to players. I rather see more camp life and more strategy than a reward challenge for 40 minutes. But that's just me. So yeah, we start this episode and we get some intro packages from a few people. And for starters, let's just talk about the Rebels real quick. They win the reward, and yeah, their strategy was pretty good when it came to doing the challenge. I think Titans, I don't know what they were doing. Titans kind of screwed up. And then let's see what else. Oh yeah, Jonathan instantly started asking people like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on this person?" Okay, here's the number one thing I don't like. Not about strength spy, but here's the thing I think they need to change. When they're on their tribe match and they're talking, and Jonathan's like, "Person in the pink shirt, what do you think? What's your name? And what does it mean to be a Titan or whatever?" Bro, I don't want that. I don't. I think that would hurt someone's strategy. Like if I'm sitting there, the thing you want to avoid is being called on in front of everyone because it puts you on the spot, and you might say something really bad that makes you like. Because perception is reality, right? Like, if you're like, "Oh yeah, rebels have got this," or "Titans have got this," people are going to be like, "Oh, okay, they're tight and strong." And that's their perception of you already going into the season, which is not great. But that's a different issue. So yeah, we get introduced to everyone. Reward challenges. Look, I don't care much about them. I understand it's for like the whole life thing, and I understand why they put them in. But for me, when they're putting the intense music behind reward challenges, it's just kind of like, well, it doesn't really matter who wins because they're all safe anyways. But that's just my perspective. So yeah, let's just go on with the rebel tribe. So we start off with the rebel tribe, and pretty quickly they're just. First honest, I felt like we saw nothing from them today. Like from last night's episode, like we saw Alex get a confessional, we saw Eileen get a confessional, we saw who else got a confessional? Kelly got some screen time. Plus that, I don't really understand who else got like confessionals or whatever else, but that's just me. I think one of the things that interests me the most is getting. Well, here's the thing. I think they need to stop doing putting people instantly into a challenge before we even know who the people are. Because if we don't even know who the people are, then you're already causing issues. Like, here's the thing: if I'm a casual watching Survivor or Trans Survivor, put it simple, if I'm a casual watching Trans Survivor and I've never seen the show, if someone comes up to me and is instantly like, "Oh yeah, that person needs to do it," they put it. If they're just like, "Okay, who are you in for Rebels vs. Titans, bro?" We are. If you're a casual watching it, you already have like you don't know who any of these people are. You're not invested in their stories. So I think the whole putting a challenge as a way to start the season is not good. And I'm saying that for Australian Survivor, US, any international survivor, any survivor out there. I think starting with a challenge is probably one of the worst things they can do because as a fan or as a casual, even if you're a casual watching it, you have no perception. First of all, you don't know the people. So as I said before, you don't invest in them as characters. And secondly, let's be honest, most people are going to pick Rebels over Titans. That's just the reality of the situation because people like underdogs. So I don't know. Maybe they did that on purpose. I know they do it all the time in normal Survivor in international Survivor seasons, but I just think it was a horrible way to start that. But you know what? I'm not going to judge. I still watched the episode. I still thought it was a good episode. I'm still entertained. I'm still going to watch the season and talk about the season. So either way, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, I thought the premiere was pretty solid. I was worried going into the Titans' first tribal council, but we'll get into why later on. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, I mean the immunity challenge happened. Not much really went there. The Titans, of course, none of them wanted to be the leader, so they had to get a ball and they had to pull it with a rope up this steep, and then push it into this little hole and a whole bunch of others, and then they had to push it down to roll it down this ramp and knock over three. I believe it was three posts, three posts that was standing up there, and yeah, obviously the Rebels just I mean, I was watching with my brother the premiere live, and he was very confused. He was like, "Why are the Rebels knocking the ball to the left instead of the middle?" And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm not one of those. I wasn't doing that." So that's what my brother pointed out to me. But and then as for the Titan strategy, I don't know what the Titans were doing. The Titans were all just like, "Okay, we're gonna do this." And then none of them wanted to take the lead. They all wanted to be leaders, and none of them wanted to put in the hard yards. And they all forgot their ball, or they just couldn't be bothered to grab their ball. I'm not really sure. I don't understand what their goal was. They couldn't be bothered to grab their ball. They left their ball just over there, and I was just like, I mean, that's kind of bad, man. The ball is one of them is debated to be the most important part of this challenge, and all 12 of you were like, I'm not doing that. What? Are we watching the same thing? So I just thought that was really funny. Another thing I wanted to point out was, I mean, when it comes to I mean, look, obviously, I understand the whole putting music behind in challenges because it hypes it up. For me, as a non-casual, when you put music behind something, it's very easy to tell if it's gonna be good or bad. Like if someone puts in music behind a tribe, and we saw the Rebels win immunity and reward today. Well, yeah, yesterday. And yeah, I mean, obviously the music kind of spoils who wins because it slows down a little bit, and it's like do 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 do, and then Rebels or whatever tribe wins immunity or reward, whatever the thing was. So that's cool, whatever. I think another thing is I I was worried coming into this cast because I felt like there were a lot of recruits. And there are a lot of fans this season, which I appreciate. There's apparently more fans than I thought there were coming into the season, which is good to know because I'm sorry. I'm not recruits are not for me. I understand why they cast recruits, but for me, when I get on Australian Survivor, I better not be I'm gonna be wrong. I'm gonna be working with the fans. I'm not gonna want to play with recruits, bro. If someone comes up to me and is like, "Let's keep the tribe strong for physical challenges," I'll be like, "Dude, I'm like 5'6". That's not gonna happen, but that's fine. So yeah, let's see. Yeah. So pretty much nothing happens on Rebel. Kelly basically. I'm assuming based on the edit, she just annoys people, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, well that's kind of bad." Anyways, we start with she's having a mind blank here for a second. Yeah, so we go to Titan's tribal count. Well, not tribal council yet. We go to their camp, and pretty quickly, from what I figured out, and Jesse did on the Custom draft, Frankie and Nathan link up, but the problem is they're not hiding their duo at all. The fact they're a duo at all, and they're saying things like that you should not be saying in front of other people. Like they're just like, we got to get rid of the weaklings and a bunch of other stuff, and it's just like you guys are definitely like you kind of buried yourself because one, you exposed your public alliance, and then they were going up to people like Caroline and Kitty and Eden and being like, "This is our pecking order, us two, Jaden, and then you guys," and it's like that is not what you want to do. Like I can't believe Eden had to stand there and actually hear, "Oh, and you're in the bottom of our list." Like, what? And then yeah, it didn't make sense to me. Like, I'm sorry, is this the weakest link? Why are they voting based on challenges? Like, what if your tribe just uses anyway? Then you just voted out someone. I mean, here's the thing: if they didn't trust Jess or they didn't vibe with her, that's completely different than them just voting her off because she's the weakest person. As Survivor isn't just about physical strength. It's about trust and loyalty, and without people you can trust, then it's kind of pointless. But if they didn't trust Jess, then that's different. And based on what they showed us, it seems like Jess didn't really socialize or struggling to socialize with people early on. Obviously, we'll see how that turns out. We'll see if she can stay off the bottom. I think she seems to be in a better position now than she was, just because I mean, you kind of a lot of people drew the lines in the sand last tribal, but I'm not sure how stable those lines are. As a lot of people wanted to keep people like Nathan and Jaden around instead of Frankie. When I honestly think Frankie was probably, well, here's the thing. I think Jaden's the least threatening of the perceived trio in that out of the three of them. I think Frankie's the second most dangerous. I think Nathan's probably the most dangerous, but I mean, I would have gone for Nathan, but I understand people are probably just like, well, it doesn't matter who in the minority goes, as long as there is a minority that goes over a majority. So it is what it is. I also understand the whole like we gotta keep not tribe strength, but the whole like Nathan provides. So maybe that was something that probably happened. I'm not real sure. Or maybe it was like, oh, Nathan's a meat shield. There's a lot of different things that could have been certain reasons why they went for Frankie instead of Nathan or Jaden. I think another thing I noticed was no one told Winner about the vote. Like, I don't know if it was because they felt like he was too gun ho about Jess. I'm not really sure if they thought he was kind of in with that trio. I'm not really sure. So I'm interested to see here and hear from Winner's perspective, like what happened, because I mean, obviously, maybe they just didn't feel comfortable telling him because they were like, oh, that's 7, we don't need anymore, we don't want to cancel it, blah, 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 blah. I'm not really sure. Obviously, it's like, what, a 90? It depends on how long the episode is. Australian Survivor sometimes varies from like the time length of the episode because of like ads and just life. So I understand they only have a certain amount of time to show this is what is in the episode, and then there's like all this footage and all this time that we haven't seen of a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really understand Frankie when she was like going up to people, being like, "Oh yeah, Jess was kind of like talking down to us, like trying to dictate, like telling us what we should have done better." It's like, no, she came to you guys in a group, and she was like, "We should discuss because clearly what we're doing isn't working." To me, that's not someone trying to leave you or telling you off. That's not someone. That's like to me, that's not what Jess was doing. To me, that's Jess being like, we need to talk because we're fucking up. And I agree. Like, I think they need to have that conversation. Whether Frankie or Jess or whoever wants to start it, that conversation needs to be had. Because if they've screwed up twice already, clearly something isn't working. And it wasn't even like a close lead in the immunity challenge. So, I mean, it was sort of close, but at the same time, they edited it, so we don't really know how close it was. But yeah, I understand Jess's perspective at least. I also understand that like in the early days of Survivor, it's very easy to. I mean, here's the thing. I don't really understand what she was doing socially because we did hear a lot of people like Viola and be like, yeah, she hasn't really made much of an effort. So I don't understand that perspective. But from what we saw, from what I saw, she was trying. I mean, she survived. She survived the vote, so she did something right. I think what Jess did well this episode was I think she knew she was in the hot seat, and I think one of the good parts was the words she was using were exactly what she needed to say to get certain people on her side. Like when she was talking to Mark and I think Charles or Eden, it was one of the two of them. She was like, "Oh yeah, so there's like a brawny free. We gotta worry. I don't consider myself. She didn't say strong, but you know what I mean. She was like, yeah, I'm not one of the brawny people. I think there's a people who want to keep each other for challenges and whatever else. And I was like, you were saying exactly what you need to say to the right people. Obviously, at Tribal Council, she said the thing about how she was like, oh yeah, some people's attributes are very similar and maybe we don't need them. Okay, Survivor CBS, not Survivor, Australian Survivor, edited it to make it look like she was talking about Viola, Valeria, and Frankie as like the strong women on the tribe. But I think there were other reasons behind it. I don't think it was just being like, oh yeah, Frankie's doing this. Like I believe someone told Jess that her name was out there beforehand, or that Jess just didn't vibe with Frankie from day one. So I think it was one of the two. I mean, here's the thing: even if I know Survivor is a game where it's like perception is reality. You can tell if you get along with someone 99% of the time. In outside of Survivor, just in the real world, you can tell if you vibe with someone or not. So in that perspective, I'm not like, oh wow, that was this. Yeah, it's like, yeah, valid. I think overall going into tonight's the second episode, so we'll see how that turns out. But I genuinely feel like thank God that we have super fans on this cast because in a normal Australian Survivor season, people would have just voted out Jess and just done the easy thing. I think Nathan and Frankie also made some mistakes this episode when it came to like going up to people at last night's episode, correction. And being like, yeah, so I feel like this is our core crew, this is the majority. And we will carry you. Like, don't say that to two Titans. Like that. Oh my god, who are already worried that they're already instantly on the bottom. Because if you're Kenny or Kara, if you're, I believe they've seen the show in some capacity. Otherwise, they know they at least understand part of the show, even if they're not fans. They would understand part of it. They would understand the concept of the show. So they go into it, and Kitty and Carry-On are just like, well, fuck that. Carry-On was like, I'm not getting voted off because of that. That sucks. Like, I'm not being carried, being in the bottom of the iron, blah, blah, whatever. Which, like, yeah, I mean, isolating yourselves when a vote is coming up in the water a bit of a distance away from your tribe is a bit ballsy. No, I wouldn't do that. I don't know why they felt so comfortable. But I mean, that's Survivor, I guess. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Overall, Frankie, there were enough things she did wrong. I think coming into my cast assessment, I said that she would kind of be all over the place and that she would probably care about challenges. And it looks like I was right. So that's cool, I guess. I'm really hoping that we get more from Rebels because if we don't get more from Rebels tonight, then I think it's almost guaranteed that one of the Titans will win the season because obviously, if they're not showing us the Rebels, then there's a reason why they're not showing us the Rebels. It's not just like, oh, they're not going to trap. It's also just like, and the dynamics, it's because this is a TV show that shows behind, it basically follows a person's story on how they won Survivor, right? So if they're following someone from Rebels to win, why wasn't this? Why aren't we hearing anything from someone's perspective? All we've heard is that Alex thinks Kelly is a bit loud. Like to me, that doesn't give winner to any of the Rebels currently. Which is scary because Scott is my winner pick and I want Scott to win. But based on the edit, we're not really getting much from Rebels. As for Titans, we're kind of hearing a lot from people's different perspectives. Even though there's certain people who I was like, if I was a casual, I would have forgotten they weren't even on the tribe. Like, straight up. Because half this cast, some of the cast looks very similar in like appearance and stuff. And it's like, I genuinely can't tell them apart if I was a casual. Because I'm a super fan, I did a cast assessment and a draft, I do know the difference between the people. And I have like watched their casting intros and whatever else. I think for me, I'm really happy that we didn't get some insane twist round one because I think my buddy Phil from Brains vs. Brawn definitely got screwed over, and I think he, I mean, look, no one wants to be voted out because of challenge term. That's even worse That's the second worst. That's probably no. That's debatably the worst way to get eliminated, other than quitting the game or being medevacked. So yeah, I mean, hopefully now that Nathan and Jaden and Winner were left out of the vote, I mean, my assumption would be that the people who voted together will continue picking up the minority because that's what I would do. But obviously, if they're thinking about challenges, I'm not sure how willing they will be to vote Nathan and Jaden out because, I mean, who was it? Someone was like, I believe it was Mark who was like, "Oh yeah, Nathan's harmless now. You just peel Frankie off," and I was like, I kind of don't agree with that. I mean, look, Nathan is from AFL and he's always going to have a target on his back. And I mean, who's going to want to sit next to Nathan then? Not because he's probably going to win, just because people have a bias towards people who look like Nathan in Australian Survivor. I think going into tonight's episode, I'm hoping that we get. I mean, first of all, I'm wondering if we're going to get any idols or advantages stuff coming out. Hopefully, we don't, just because I want to see normal gameplay for now, or what? Not normal gameplay, but you know what I mean. I want it to just be chill for now. I mean, yeah, overall, I said this as ranked the premiere a 6 out of 10. I thought it was above average. For Australian Survivor, edit wise, it's pretty generic. I mean, sometimes. But it was their premiere episode. It was their premiere episode, to be fair, so we will be getting more content tonight. Here's my thing. It's not that I was rooting against Frankie, but to see people like Eden and Mark and Charles Beck, and Caroline, and even Kitty to a certain extent, even though we didn't really hear from Kitty, I don't want to do that because I'm, quote, not one of those people. To me, that's a good sign that this season is heading in a good direction. I also read an interview that Jonathan Yapalia did about a few people and was talking about how the first vote of the season sets the tone for what's to come. Which, I mean, we'll see about that. I'll be here every episode ranking, well, not ranking, but talking about my thoughts and opinions and whatever else. I want to start by saying, Ferris is a lot more calm than I thought he would be. I mean, to be fair, it is day 3, day 2 on the island, so if he's a maniac running around, that'd kind of be bad. But yeah, I'm curious to see how Ferris's journey goes because he's definitely a character. I'm not sure. I'm currently voting against him, which isn't a personal thing. It's just I don't want someone to be a King George ripoff. I want someone to be their own player with their own strategy. But we'll see what happens. I think, overall, that's all I really have to say about the episode. I think tonight they say it's an unmissable episode, but we'll see. I'll be the judge of that. I'll be talking about it. But anyways, thank you all for watching. And till tomorrow when I do another one of these streams and talk about episode 2. Peace out.